Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Man, I gotta tell you, I do not want to be live right now, but I feel that pull, and I'm following that pull that I feel. And I titled this video for now. I might change it, but for now it's CPTSD, the E files, and more. When I say the E files, talking about the Epstein files. I haven't said anything on this, haven't shared anything, haven't said anything. I've just been watching, observing, and it's gotten to a point where I can't just do that anymore. I don't want to say I'm ignoring it because I'm not ignoring it. I'm well aware. And I'm watching people who are ignoring it, who are still continuing to share their political ideologies and share these people who we know are involved in this. This is real. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It isn't. This is real life. It's happening right now to children in our backyards, in our state, in our country, around the world. This stuff is happening. And one of the reasons why it is challenging for me to speak on it is because I do have CPTSD. And I want to talk a little bit about CPTSD. None of this is prepared. I have one little thing I might read from, but none of this is prepared. I see people use that term CPTSD often. And 99% of the people who use that have no idea what it is. They call it childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. I see people claiming to have CPTSD like it's the new cool thing to have. And I think that if they had a clue what it entailed, what it really actually was to have CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I want to say they wouldn't want it, but then I remember that we live in a nation of victims where everybody wants to be a victim, and it's such a permission slip to just give up and not do anything because we're all a bunch of victims, right? And so for me to speak on CPTSD, I can only speak on it from my own perspective, my own point of view, as somebody that truly has it. And this is still a new term. It's still developing. There's still a lot of controversy around this term in the medical field. There are people who recognize it and there are people who don't. And as of now, what it really is, it's when somebody as a child is exposed to brutal trauma repeatedly for years. It changes the way that their brain develops. It carves out different pathways in the brain. It stunts other processes in the brain. I look at it as brain damage, and it is. It is brain damage. And the reason that I have CPTSD is because I was so brutally tortured as a child. And I think that that fact is also one of the reasons why I've been struggling when it comes to the Epstein files. And it's really challenging for me to talk about. It's really challenging for me to think about, but it's even more hard to witness and see people that I know and love continue to, again, share these political ideologies, defend these political puppets that most of them played a role in this. All right. Our government is ran by sick people, sick men and women who do terrible things. Let me look at what I wrote here and see if I want to share it. I'm going to share what I wrote here. I wrote this over the weekend. I have a hard time. I can talk about my trauma more easily than I can write about it. I have learned that when I sit down and try to write about it, I had a panic attack over the weekend. And I tell you, all of this, like really, the more that I think about it and the more that I'm observing, the more of an effect that it has had on me. And it has triggered, flashbacks are one of my symptoms of flight. Yeah. I'm still trying to decide like how much of my story do I share? Does it even really matter? But then there's a part of me that thinks that if the people that watch me that know me and love me, who have had the privilege of not really being exposed to the sickness of this world, that maybe if they know somebody personally who has experienced these things, maybe they'll take it a little bit more seriously. Maybe not. I don't know. So here's what I wrote. This is in regards to the Epstein files, the E files, the PDFs. So as a child that was tortured mentally, physically, and sexually, I have been thinking about the Epstein files a lot, and I feel numb and disturbed at the same time, especially when I still see people holding on to their political ideologies. And I keep trying to remind myself of how much people need those identities, how most of these people have been programmed from birth and their entire lives are shaped by these beliefs. A lot of the reasons why people are having a hard time accepting this is, again, because they have built entire identities on these ideologies. And without this fuel, without that, then what would their life mean? I didn't write that, but I feel that. Back to what I wrote. But I can't seem to allow myself to ignore the fact that we are being shown that our government is full of PDFs and people who seem to just be ignoring that. And then I remember when I was a child, when I was going through these things, and the adults in my life, they looked away when I was being abused. They looked away as I was being molested. They looked away as I was being locked in the dark with cigarettes put out of my arms if I cried. They looked away when I had to suck on toes just to be able to eat dinner. They looked away as my animals were killed right in front of me if I loved them too much. And I did, which was I always loved my animals so much. And anything that I loved as a child was used against me. These adults, they ignored the bruises. They ignored the behavior. They ignored the cries for help. They ignored the look in my eyes, and they ignored me. So I'm not really surprised that they are ignoring that our systems are run by pedophiles. They're ignoring the children in their own backyards and across the globe, and they are ignoring the corruption. But even worse than that, they are participating in these systems. They are defending the PDFs. They are regurgitating their rhetoric. And I keep trying to convince myself that maybe it's ignorance, inflammation, dehydration, over medication, programming, the list goes on. I keep trying to convince myself that it's not our fault, that people just don't have the capacity for it. And that was all I could write because it just became overwhelming for me. And for me to accept that, I also have to accept the fact that those adults, the amount of adults, aunts, uncles, friends of the family that could see that these things were happening and they didn't want to get involved. Thank you for commenting, Jan, and anybody watching. I don't like to sit here and talk to myself. My mic just quit working, so I hope it's working now. So if you want to engage, if you want to talk with me, that's great. So Yana said SRA, satanic rituals for MK Ultra and consciousness trap and astral slavery and sex misery being owned. And these things are real. And they're really tough, you know? And it's so easy. It's so easy to just ignore it, to just lay down and do nothing, to just walk away. Not your problem, right? But it's getting to a point where it is. Every single one of us are affected by this now, whether it's your family, your money, your job, your business, your government. We're all affected by it now. I guess I didn't write anything down. I just really felt like I was supposed to get on here and talk about this. I see so many of my friends, God, JC, if you're on here, I see you, mama, and I see you hurting. I see a lot of men and women, and a lot of women, men too, but a lot of women that are like, nobody's going to do anything. Nobody cares. And I see them suffering. They're in a lot of pain. And I really don't want to admit that I think that, yeah, that's the truth. Nobody cares. As a child that has lived through what we are seeing right now, Nobody cared. So what can we do, right? What can we do? Being angry is okay. You know, that's a strong emotion. We were given anger for a reason. But what are we going to do with that anger? Are we going to lash out at our neighbors? And I get that too. When I see some of you on here still playing into these political games, I'm like, are you stupid? Are you? And I want to get so angry, you know? But then I do remember people are inflamed, people are programmed, people are really convinced that what they think and what they believe is right. But excuses I've had to learn only go so far. I was given every single excuse to be a bad person, to absolutely fail in life, to lay down and give up. I have spent countless nights on the floor by myself, and I've had to pick myself up, put myself together, and keep moving forward. And I have made a plan. I made this plan a decade ago that I want to make a difference, right? I want to help. I know pain so well. If there's a one thing in this life that I know, it's pain and suffering. And I know how to pick myself up out of that and create something with it. And I think that is our only option. Is what are we going to do with this anger and this pain and this rage that we feel? Are we going to keep taking it out on each other? That's super easy and it feels so good in the moment. But long term, what is that doing? How is that helping? It's not. It's not. But it's hard, you guys, to every single day get up and stay true to what it is that you feel in your heart and what you're supposed to do. It is hard. Some of these things require you to work 12, 15, 16, 17, 18-hour days. It requires you to keep going when you want to give up. And most people, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing so many people just shut down and give up. And then they want to blame their PTSD. And I'm just not the one to hear that. I'm just not. I think it's weakness. We're waiting for somebody to come out of the sky and save us from this mess. And I'm here to tell you, nobody's coming for you. It is us, ourselves, and our community. That is what we've got. And even if the people in our communities right now are ignoring it or are seeing it, they need love. They need love. It's so easy to just check out. And so this is why I have a problem talking about it because it's not in me. It's nowhere in my DNA to just check out and give up. So I really don't know what to say to the people that do that other than get out of the way, go, disappear, be gone. At the very least, support the people that are fighting, that are speaking. Listen, even when it's hard. You know, one thing I will say when it comes to my disease is I have been blessed. I've been blessed with a mother who it didn't come easily, but did decide to admit to what she did and what she allowed to happen and apologize for it. And she's so far from perfect, but man, I'm so blessed for that. And with that said, I can't be around her. I've seen her like 3 times in the last decade, but we do talk on the phone. And I get, when I get triggered, I get off the phone but I can't be angry at her anymore because she is sorry and she acknowledged everything. And it was so painful to watch her do that. It is so painful for us to admit when we are wrong and to make the necessary steps towards changing that, remedying that, you know? Let's see what Natalie said. Natalie said, no, baby, they dehydrated and mostly sick. The government has been poisoning everything from the water to the food to the mind control. We got to start there. We can't go too hard all at once. This shiz has been going on slowly for decades. That's exactly how they designed it. Yes, you know that I agree that people have been dehydrated and sick. Just like I agree that the same men that tortured me as a child, they were sick. They were tortured as children. And they carried that on. And because they did not have the strength or the capacity to recognize the wrongdoing and what happened to them and what they were doing, I then suffered. Does that make it right? Does what I experienced, is that justified because these people were sick? That's what I've had to ask myself because I'm right there with you, Natalie. I'm like, these people are sick, they're dehydrated, they're malnourished, they can't think. That doesn't make it right. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I love her so much. She's been going through a lot, and I've been there with her every step of the way for the last like 2 months. It's been a lot. And she was justifying her family's inability to show up for her. Well, I know that it triggers their trauma, and I know that it's a lot for them. And I said, "Hey, yo, me too. Everything that we've been going through for the past 2 months has been a lot on me, but I love you and I'm still showing up for you because that's what people do when they want to do the right thing, when they want to show up for somebody that they love. They quit wallowing in their own self pity and their own victimhood, and they step up and do what they have to do. And it's hard, but there is no excuse. That's that's actually all there is are excuses. This world will give us every single reason to lay down, to give up, to not show up and justify it. There's a great book. I really recommend everybody read it. Let me get the title. It's called Mistakes Were Made, but Not by Me. Let's see who it's by Carol Tavris and Elliot Aronson. Mistakes Were Made, and then in parentheses, but not by me. And it's a really great book for people who wanted to develop their psyche, right? Who want to stimulate intellectual, emotional, spiritual growth. It's a great book, and it really does help to highlight the ways that we will justify our decisions, whether they are right or wrong, and we will convince ourselves. And that's what's happening right now on a mass scale. The truth is coming out, and people are scrambling to convince themselves that they believe the right thing, that they're doing the right thing, because of how much strength and courage it takes to say, "Yo, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that." Just like I said, my mother is a great example. If you're watching, I love you so much, Mom. And we already know this, but her choices led to her children going through unimaginable things. And at first, as we grew older, she was really resistant, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to talk about it, and took it out on us. And I just kept praying and I kept working on myself. And I also put distance between us. I don't know if it was God, my mother, she's so much stronger than she ever knew, no, than she even knows. And she did that. She did that. So I know it can be done. Just like these people right now that are supporting pedophiles, you have it in you to say, wow, this system's fucked. And even though I've built my entire life and identity around this system, I can change it. So I'm in this and Natalie, if you're still here, I love you. Keep talking to me. um, I want to have empathy and compassion for people to an extent. I don't want to, what's it called? Enable. I don't want to enable this behavior. I've also realized that most people have some form of PTSD. PTSD, again, 99% of the people who speak on CPTSD have no idea what it is. I finally realized why I'm so drawn to war stories and these veterans that survived situations like Vietnam, because for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm listening to somebody who actually gets it, who actually understands the struggle and the damage to the brain caused by trauma like that. And maybe I endured all of that so I can be one of the ones with enough courage to speak up and say, "Hey, life is hard for everybody, but what are you going to do?" We have choices. Every time you post a political meme, video, vomit, you are feeding that fire that is a government full of sick people. You are feeding that. I am so over it, whether it's left or right. When I see these posts, I think that I'm to the point where my tolerance is almost up. Hey, you want to stay ignorant? You want to be retarded? And yeah, I had a girl commented on when I said "tarded" the other day. And I do. I think that people that are racist, I think people that that are ignoring what is going on with our children are just as retarded as the people who think it's okay to put children on life-altering pharmaceuticals and perform these irreversible surgeries on them. I see it from all sides. There's something really wrong. And sure, maybe I could think of a different word. Maybe I will. But that's how deep it runs in me, how little tolerance I have at this point because something's got to give. Something's got to change. Well, it's changing. And that's, thank you God for that. It is changing. It is changing. And that's really something that I want to get out to my peeps like JC. I hope you're watching, girl. I've been seeing your videos. I know you're hurting, mama. And things are really tough right now. And nope, a lot of people don't care, but the shift is coming. And the more of us that stay hydrated, eat real food, find that purpose in our heart and follow it. I have only just recently in the last 6 months really started speaking on the work that I do out here. And a lot of people don't know that. And it's hard work. I provide free medicine for almost 36 families every single month. I provide, God, about 15 to 20 hours of free counseling every week. Now I've invested everything into this program, this operation that's going to provide free fruits, vegetables, quality food that can be stored away for 20 years for people who don't have access to this. And I pour so much of my time and my energy into it to give it away. And a lot of people cannot fathom that idea because, naturally, well, what's in it for us, right? And for the first few years, I've been doing this for 10 years now. For the first few years, people were laughing, oh, can't save the world. No, I can't save the world, but I absolutely change it every single day. I give so much away and people have been telling me I got to stop doing that. But somewhere, somehow along the way, 10 years later, yes, I work hard. Yes, some days I am tired. Yes, I have my bad days. But I am also so provided for. God loves me so much. I have everything that I need. I eat the best of the best food. I've got the best of the best friends in my life. I do what I want when I want to. And if you believe that in your heart, if you believe in your heart that you have something on your heart that God gave you to go out there and share in the world, now's the time to follow that. And if you're expecting it to be easy, you're in for a rude awakening because it's not. Nothing worth having it comes easy. I was thinking about it yesterday. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Hold on. I think I wrote it down. Erica, I'm about to look and see what you just said. Thank you for being here, mama. Here we go. Let me see. Erica said, thanking God for your presence and the influence you have in our world. And I'm thanking God for you, Erica. All right. You got so much power inside of you, girl. And I know it's coming. I can see those seeds starting to sprout and blossom. And I am so excited. And those voices in your head that tell you, no, not you, you can't do it, blah, blah, fucking blah. That's all those are, the enemy. Because bottom line, this realm, this planet is ran by dark forces. Whether you want to believe it or not, ignorance may have been bliss in the past, but it won't be bliss very soon. I promise you that. And those voices that instill doubt and anxiety and fear into your mind, telling you that you're not enough, you can't do it. Who do you think you are? That's the enemy. Because the more of us that rise up and get into those higher frequencies, the less hold those dark forces have. So I'm working on this, but I'm going to share with you right now. It says the nature of God is law, and the law of nature is God. Do you hear that? The nature of God is law, and the law of nature is God. And guess what? Nature doesn't care about your feelings. Out there in nature, if you don't contribute to your pack, you die. If you are born unable to fully develop and contribute to your pack, you die. It is adapt or die out there. Or adapt and thrive. Adapt or die, adapt and thrive. So right now, a lot of us, we're being called to adapt. We are seeing the truth that is being put in front of us. And if you think that you can just ignore it, you're wrong. It will be very bad for you. Very bad. Right now, it's one of those, all right, what are we going to do? We see the truth. What do we need to do? We need to hydrate our minds and our bodies. We got to eat real food. We got to quit eating the junk. So you might not be addicted to drugs, but so many people are addicted to sugar. I had to make a choice. I was so anxious before I sat down to make this video. I wanted to make some coffee. And I chose to make a big thing of water instead with some liquid calcium, some liquid potassium, popped the magnesium, and put some salt in there because my nervous system was like, coffee and everything that goes in that support it. But coffee's also very drying and stimulated, and I'm already anxious enough. I really wanted that coffee, you guys, but I did this instead. And nothing happens radically overnight. And I think that's what Natalie was getting at. Nothing happens radically overnight. And it's not about radical change overnight. Those of us who have been doing this work for a while, I know I know some of you are watching this right now. You have seen this stuff. You've known it's coming. You've been on it. We're going to be out there on the front line. We are. And that's okay. We're built for that. But for those of you who are just now really hearing that call, moving towards that, listening, it's not about beating yourself up, but it's also not about enabling yourself. It's not about allowing yourself to be a victim. Every choice that you make is either adding to you or taking away from you. Every bite of food that you put in your mouth is either adding nourishment or increasing inflammation. And we have to remember that. Man, so CPTSD, literal brain damage. And I've had to deal with that on my own. I tried psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, therapists, and I would go in and I would share what I was going through and my stories, and I would get this. They would just be shocked. They had nothing to offer other than pharmaceuticals because everything else I was already doing. It was me that on those nights when I was alone, when everything was crushing my soul, I had to drag myself off the floor and get my ass to the kitchen and cook some vegetables. It was me that did that. It was me that makes sure I stay hydrated. It's me that goes out there and exercises and moves my body. It's me that shows up and does the things that I know I need to do even when I don't want to do them. Nobody's coming to do it for us. And our whole system, whether it's government or religion, which religion was created by the government, okay, is meant to for us to just keep handing our power over. We're too weak. We can't do it. We need that government. We're waiting on Jesus to come out of the sky and to save us when he told us it's right here. All right. But we've been so manipulated and programmed that we just keep handing our power away. And like I said, I'm trying really hard to be compassionate and empathetic, but it is to the point that you either do what you need to do or get out of the way. That shift is coming. And I want, and like I said, the people didn't care when they knew that was happening to me as a kid. And I don't think people care now. I don't know that people who are posting all of these politics all over their page are going to care that somebody that they know and love is deeply affected by it. Deeply. It's not just, oh, you don't agree with me. I'm way too intelligent to pick a side. But I have endured a lot of these sick things. And when I see people that I know and love just being mindless zombies and sharing this, it hurts. And I don't want to disconnect from them because I care about them and I want to help them. But I also need to be really careful because I'm on the way up and I don't want to get held down. I won't. Jen said, so true, girl. You are amazing. I look forward to come along and learning and helping. Love you. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. And that's another thing. Anybody and everybody knows if you need somebody, my phone is open. And it's hard some days, but I do it because that's what God has put on my heart to do. Some people call it, just like soldiering through. I don't ignore my emotions. I have bad days and I don't hide those bad days. I make time to cry. So like I said, my PTSD flared up over the weekend. It was very challenging. I had a nervous system reaction. Flashbacks started coming back. And I remember it was Saturday after the market. And I had sat down to try to write that. And I had my first panic attack in years. And I love myself enough to know that I need to reach out. So I've got 4 people that I know I can reach out to in those moments without putting too much on their plate. I'm calling them. They're not answering. And so I called them twice. Some of them I called them 3 times because I know that they love me, and they couldn't answer. So they didn't. And I also recognize that if people don't have the capacity to hold space for us as adults, they have the responsibility of voicing that, hey, I don't have the capacity to hold this. Just like with me, if I can't answer, I won't. If I don't have the capacity to help, I won't. And if I overextend myself, those consequences are on me because I'm an adult. But anyways, none of them answered. And I'm scrolling through my phone and I'm like, who can I call right now? Because I do not feel well. Um, Shout out to AM out there. If you're reading this, you know who you are. I didn't really, expect her to be on my list, but her name popped up and God said, call her. And I did. We've got to reach out. We've got to reach out. Suffering in silence is not the move anymore. Nobody can do anything for us, but reach out. Say, hey, hype me up. Remind me that I'm loved. Remind me to drink my water. Nobody can drink your water for you, but they can remind you to do it. And then you do it. But I'm going to continue. So then it was rough. It's been an intense last few days. I acted out of anger towards somebody that I cared about. It was a misunderstanding. I misread their message. I reacted. And then I recognized it and immediately apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I had already told this person that my PTSD has been flared up for a few days. And what's unfortunate is, again, this person was not healed enough to accept that. They know how severe the PTSD is. They knew that I was having a flare up. I recognized my behavior and I apologized immediately. And I think anybody that suffers from PTSD, I think everybody should do this anyways. Hold yourself accountable for your behavior. Be courageous enough to say, oof, man, I was a jerk. I want one woman on here. I love you so much. I work with her. And one day I snapped a little bit. I was a little snippy because I misunderstood the message. And I apologized immediately. I said, I'm so sorry. And she was like, girl, thank you for that. Thank you for recognizing. It's all good. And then I apologized like 2 more times. She was like, stop. It's okay. Because she has the capacity to handle that, where the person this weekend did not. After I recognized behavior, after I apologized, they continued to lay into me. We need to address this. I understand that you have PTSD, but you can't. And I was just like, ooh, all right. Now I have to make a decision for myself. This is not healthy. I have a disease. I made a small mistake. It wasn't anything crazy. I'm not a mean person. I don't have malice in my heart. I apologized. And now I had to make a decision for myself. Do I have to prove myself to this person? Do I have to absorb their shit? No, I don't. I made a mistake. I apologized. I'm doing better. And just like with everybody else right now, maybe you've made the mistake of believing in somebody that is pure evil. Maybe you've made the mistake of subscribing to a system that does not have our best interest at heart, but is actually siphoning our energy and our souls. Okay. And that's okay. It's okay to say, ooh, I fell for that. Ooh, I believed that and it was so wrong. And it doesn't matter who keeps pointing their fingers at you for what you may have done in the past. You know how many people try to throw in my face that I'm a convicted felon? It happens all the time. And that is why this is one of the things, like when you take that time to love on yourself, to hydrate yourself, to nourish yourself, when you spend time with yourself, you will over time create that sense of self, that sovereign being. You will be liberated by what other people have to say, think, or do, because you know who you are. You know that no matter what, you're going to show up for yourself and do what you have to do to take care of you and your environment. And that's so important. And that is one of the most empowering things of coming out of that victimhood and taking responsibility and accountability for your life. At the end of the day, no matter what I do, I know that I'm forgiven, because that love that Christ Jesus has for us, I've got it right here in my heart. I am a believer in physics. You have light, you have dark, you have up, you have down, you have in, you have out, you have masculine, you have feminine. And it took me a while, but for me, it works. I've got my Father God and I've got my Mother Earth, and they come together. And my Father God protects me and guides me and provides for me. And Mother Earth, oh, she provides so much sustenance, so much nourishment, and so much love. It's my Mother Earth that sends that butterfly fleeting across my eyesight. And I just get so tickled because I've seen enough darkness to really appreciate the tiniest little bits of light. And I'm so grateful for that. I would not, if I had to go back and relive all of those nightmares to be where I am here today, I would do it. Doesn't make it easy. So hard, but for some reason I was built for it. But anyways, so what I do too is when I finally accepted that in my heart, that Father God, that Mother Earth, and yeah, sure, perhaps we all go back to one. but we live the law of nature is God, okay? The law of God is nature. Yep. The nature of God is law, and the law of nature is God. And here on this physical realm, it is the laws of nature, baby, whether you like it or not. Whether you think you know where we're ascending to or not. Whether you think you've got it all figured out, guess what? Nature doesn't care about any of that. Any of that. And so here we have those laws of nature. And it has helped me so much to just know I try not to take myself too seriously. I call him my sky daddy. I got my sky daddy up there who loves me so much and shows me that every day. Loves me so much that when I start beating myself up for the mistakes that I've made, I'm reminded, hey, your dad loves you. Your father loves you. Look, Mother Earth loves you. You are so loved. And no matter what you do, that love is unconditional. But the thing about repentance isn't just admitting to what you've done wrong. It's admitting to what you've done wrong and then taking the steps necessary to change that behavior. That's true repentance. Repentance isn't going and sitting down and confessing your sins and then going out with a fresh slate. You get to do it again. No, you've only repented if you've recognized the behavior and made steps to change that behavior. And that's what, people with PTSD, it's real. I work with a lot of men and women with PTSD, and there are a lot of behavioral and mental problems that come with that. And one of the hardest things to do is to say, okay, no matter what happened to me, that is not an excuse for me to treat somebody else poorly. While also recognizing sometimes, you guys, when I get in that state, literally parts of my brain shut down and stop working. I've had to work so hard over the years to feed my brain, to nourish it. And there are protocols and herbs and foods and stuff that have been keys in doing that. And still, it's hard. And I've had to forgive myself over and over and over again. And I think that there's a lot of that necessary. Self-forgiveness. No matter what side of the spectrum we've been on, no matter what party we've picked, no matter who we've defended, no matter what we've done, if we have the courage and the strength to say, oof, I was wrong. And I see, and a lot of these people that I work with and just in the world, and we see it all the time, people react, they treat you poorly, and then blame it on their past problems. And without acknowledging or apologizing. One thing that I believe is really important to remember is that nobody owes us anything. Nobody owes us anything. Nature doesn't owe us anything. Our parents don't owe us anything. Our exes, our current partners, our future partners, our friends, our family, nobody owes us anything. So just because we went through something doesn't mean that the person in front of us owes us understanding, because they don't. But what's also beautiful in that same coin is we don't owe anybody anything either. I choose to know that while nobody owes me anything, I also get to decide what I deserve. And I pick and choose what I deserve. But what I feel I deserve, I have to make sure I'm reciprocating that and giving that back. I can't treat somebody poorly and then expect them to treat me with love and respect. It's not going to happen. I believe that a major component of the shift that this world so needs, if you want to come, like I said, I think there's a shift coming and not everybody's coming. And if you want to stay down in your self-pity and be dehydrated and inflamed and make all these nasty worldly decisions and stay here when it all comes crashing down, cool. That's on you. And so for like my friends that are suffering with everything that's happening right now, as bad as it might hurt to know that not everybody's coming, the more that we try to get people to see something, get people to care, the more it's just going to suck our energy dry. I feel like my energy was being sucked from me for the last few days because of the flare up and the things. And I was just caring too much. We get to decide what we deserve. We get to decide how we behave, how we speak to people, how we treat people. We get to decide what we are going to allow to be given to us, how people are going to speak to us, treat us. A radical, I don't want to use that word, but truly, responsibility and accountability for us and our well-being. I would not be able to touch as many lives as I do if I didn't take care of myself. Sometimes when people learn that I get a massage every week, they're like, lucky. Oh, you think that's lucky? You think that's lucky? No, that's mandatory. I work 16 to 18-hour days regularly. All right. And I love it. I love it. I get to do so much. But if I don't take care of my body, I'm not going to be able to do that. If I don't listen to it, it was tough for me yesterday to not go to the market. But I said, you know what, Cameron? God's got so much planned and so much coming that I need that rest. It's really hard to do the right things, you guys, because the devil, the enemy, the whatever, the ops, the haters, whatever, they're always there whispering in your ear, oh, you're going to lose something. There's something that's going to be taken from you if you don't do this. Oh, you're never going to achieve blah, 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 if you don't do this. And that's all the devil. And for me, I get my journal. I get on my knees. I pray. I go outside. Yesterday, I went outside. I was like, man, it's a beautiful day. I cannot believe I skipped the market. And then I said, you know what? No, never mind. I took my clothes off and I laid in the sun like a lizard. It was a beautiful day to lay in the sun like a lizard. Let's see what Jen said. Thank you, Erica, for still being here. Jen said, absolutely. We don't owe anyone anything is so true. I knew this year is the year of the shift. Before you told me about the year of the fire horse, raising our energy, keep our minds focused on positive and give off the positive and loving energy too. Yes. Yes. While also remember, the nature of God is law and the law of nature is God. So it is unnatural. It goes against the law to be positive all of the time. All right. What goes up must come down. And I learned that because I'm with my, manic depression was one of my big symptoms. And when I'm up, I'm up. And when I'm down, I'm down. So over the years, with dedication to improving my mind, my body, and my spirit, with devotion to being everything that I know that I can be and the best that I can be, I've had to learn to keep those. I don't want to be way up here, even though it feels good. My face might melt off, but it feels good. I know that I'm going right back down here. So I don't want that. So I've learned over the years, I've paid attention to my patterns, to my habits, to my rhythms, so I can stay like this. And I've also, hello, Tina, thanks for joining. I've also realized, because that was hard for me, because I show up and I'm a pillar of strength for so many people, that at the first, like if I let my bad days show, or if I let a little bit of negativity out, it would kind of rock people. And then I would hold myself responsible for upsetting that person because I was upset. And so then I would try to hide it. That's not good. That's not natural. That's not helpful for anybody. So communication is key. You have to spend the time getting to know yourself so you can be yourself. I know myself enough. I mean, they say, right? Know thyself for a reason. And I know myself enough to say, hey, I'm feeling real bitchy today. I have to apologize often, and that's okay. And I do it from the bottom of my heart. And not only do I apologize, but I do what I need to do to make sure I don't continue to do that. And sometimes I'll make the same mistake 2 or 3 times. That's natural. But with that true determination in my heart to not keep doing that, and anyway, I think we all know that the people closest to us get it the most. They see the worst of us and they take on more of us. And we can get so used to that we don't even recognize it. And then we're just piling on this stress onto this person because they love us and we love them. But that's not fair. That's not fair. They don't owe us that. They don't deserve that. So knowing yourself enough to say, because too, I think that's a trick. I think that's a trick that, they make us think that we should be always producing productive, high vibe, positive all the time. That's not natural. That goes against the God's law to be happy and positive all the time. And so that will make you sick. So now, like Sunday was one of those days where I said, this is one of those days that I just need to let pass. We are not supposed to be happy all of the time. We are not supposed to feel good all the time. All right. Emotionally, we have all of these emotions for a reason. And when our body doesn't feel good, that's because it's communicating with us. It's telling us, hey, something's off. And instead, we've been trained to silence those signals, right? Oh, we feel pain. That must be bad. Pain is not innately bad. Pain is a signal saying, hey, can I have your attention, please? I need some love. But we've been programmed to silence that. Or when we're in a bad mood, we've been programmed to, I can't be in a bad mood. What I do is I let people know, hey, I'm in a bad mood today. And then they get to choose as adults. They get to choose if they're going to be around that or not. I have verbalized that I'm going through something, and that is heavy. And if you don't have the capacity to carry that, I also have to be mature enough to say, hey, it's not your fault that you don't have the capacity to help me carry my stuff right now. I'm not taking that personally. We are a nation full of insecure victims who take everything personally. And we've been programmed that way. But that's got to shift. Again, nobody owes us anything. We don't owe anybody anything. We get to choose what we deserve and they get to choose what they deserve. And you don't have to pretend to be happy if you're not. You can be real. I know it's a little different for parents. That's a whole other ball game. That's tough. Because those kids, you do owe them. You do. At least until they're adults. You at least, and that's tricky, right? Because it's like, I could say that my parents could have owed me something because of what they allowed me to go through. I think that's something I'm going to brainstorm on more. Like, what do we really owe them? Because at the end of the day, regardless what happened, and the responsibility of overcoming and transmuting and changing everything that happened fell on me, not my parents. Most people out here with kids are still just as messed up. They didn't get to heal. Now they're out here traumatized, messed up, trying to raise kids. And then the cycle continues. And then oftentimes kids are just another excuse as to why people can't take care of themselves. Simply hydrate. Get yourself a quart jar, fill that thing 5 times a day with a little bit of water, set alarms on your phone, put Post-it notes up around the house, and drink your water. Stay hydrated. And the salt is important because when you're just drinking water, you're just flushing. When you put salts or minerals in your water, you're changing it to structured water. Structured water is water that is structured in a way that your cells can more easily absorb and utilize that water for the energy and all the processes that it needs. So if you haven't heard about structured water, I really recommend looking into that. It's pretty cool. There's just no excuse for not hydrating yourself. People will drink sodas and diet sodas all day long, but can't drink some water. I don't like the way it tastes. What? That's devastating. That's devastating because this is the living water. This is that water you can't live without. Most people are barely living. Tina says soul water, S-O-L-E. I've never heard of that. What is that? Let's see. How to make soul water. Okay, so it says it's kind of like a solution of concentrated salt water. Let's see. A saturated solution of Himalayan pink salt in water, maybe adding salt to water until it can't dissolve anymore, leaving some salt at the bottom. Oh, I think some people need to be careful with that. That's a lot of salt. Proponents claim it aids hydration, energy, and digestion, but scientific evidence for these benefits is limited, and it's essentially salt water, so moderation is key. That is true. Moderation is key. I think that's I think that's something that people could work themselves up to, but I think if your average American just went and did that and made that concentrated of salt water, their body would respond. There's so many different risks involved there, but I love that. I had never heard of salt water. Every time I fill it up, I put a nice pinch of sea salt in here. And like I said, I had to make a decision. Do I want to drink coffee for this video or do I want to hydrate myself? And because it is a stressful video, I chose to hydrate myself. Who else is in here? I think that's about it. It's been almost an hour. I've got a lot of things on my mind. It's been intense lately. There have been a lot of conversations going on, and I just want everybody to know, like, if you feel like you need some support, I'm here for it. If I cannot answer, I won't answer. But I promise you, this is what I'm built for. This is what I'm here for. We need people on the front line helping, sending that support back. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day. If you think about a war, right, and all the soldiers, not everybody's on the front line. Not everybody can be on the front line, but the people on the front line are supported by the people behind them. And then you have like the nurses all the way in the back that when we get messed up on the front line, we need people back there that aren't getting shot at so they can help us. It's important. Everybody has a role to play. So I'm not saying everybody strap your boots up and get on the front line, but what I am saying is find your role. Who are you? What do you represent? What do you stand for? What are you here to do? Are you here to make a difference? Are you here to contribute? Or are you just a NPC, a meat suit walking around taking up space and precious resources? Which one? Find who you are, know who you are, embrace who you are. The world is going to try to tell you that you're not that you can't be that you're not, but blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Take it from me. Oh man, they've been trying to stop me since the day that I was born. It's all day, every day. These forces, these entities, these spirits, they work through people all day, every day. People with low frequencies who don't take care of their vessels. It makes them easy to penetrate and be manipulated. It's not easy, but the more time that you spend loving on yourself, taking care of yourself, the stronger you get. And finally, for me, it came to a point where I realized, hey, Cam, you've been here this whole time. You have been getting up every single day, no matter what this life throws at you. And after some point, you realize, yo, I can count on me. I know I'm going to show up. And that nobody can take that from you. No matter where you put me, I will find a way to thrive. And that is because I show up every day. And I love on myself. I take care of myself. I quit poisoning myself. And I'm not perfect now. I want to make that clear too. I love tobacco. And I think that really surprises a lot of people. I love tobacco, and I'll guilt myself with it. I go back and forth. I'll quit smoking tobacco for months, and then I'll pick it back up again. And now I've gotten it to a point of harm reduction, right? Like I get the good organic tobacco, I get good unbleached hemp papers, and I make a little ritual of rolling it. But there are some days where I'm like, oof, man, I shouldn't be doing that. But I'm still out there lifting weights. I'm still out there running. I'm still out there moving, baby. So it's not about being perfect, but these things that are keeping you back, if I couldn't do what I do, if I couldn't move and be healthy because of tobacco, it would have to go. I couldn't do what I do and still eat junk. I couldn't do what I do and drink soda, eat a bunch of fried food, eat this poison. No, I have to give my body real food. And that gives you a strong foundation to still, you know? And again, tobacco is just an herb. So maybe that's not a good example. It's not about being perfect. It's about being strong. It's about being vital. It's about knowing who you are and feeling good in that and not letting anybody or anything convince you otherwise. There are ways that I choose to connect to God that people who are brainwashed religiously would think are pure evil because they really don't have an understanding and they were told that it was bad. And there are these parts of myself that I have to struggle with because of what other people think about it. And I've had, and what do? I pray about it. Hey, God, give me some guidance. Thank you. And He does. I'm open, I'm receptive. And I have to remind myself, I'm not defined by what other people think about me. Nobody else can tell me whether my relationship with God is right or wrong, especially when my life is a constant reflection of God's grace and glory. Constant. And a lot of the people saying otherwise, trying to condemn and shame people, they're not happy. They're not happy. I want the best for everybody. I really do. I would love to see as many people come up and thrive as possible. And I am so here, ready, willing. I've been through it. I have been through it and I made it out. And I still go through it and I come out of it every single time. And that's what I'm here to do is help other people. But I am to the point that it's, hey, you either want it or you don't. You either adapt or you die. And I'm not going to be held down. So it's no shame. It's no judgment. A little bit of sadness. But I'm just gonna pray and pray, and if and when that time comes that you're ready, I'm here, and if it's not me, there are others, there are so many out here that are ready. Jen said, "I just love how transparent you are, so real. I am the same way. You inspire me in so many ways. Your tinctures are the bomb and helping me in more ways than one. You are beautiful inside out." I see you, Jen. I see that powerful woman inside of you, and I see all those things that you've taken on too. I'm very excited to see you stepping up and stepping into your power. Remember, you don't owe anybody anything. Nobody owes you anything. You get to decide what you deserve. And I see that for you. I see you dropping all the things that have held you back, that have held you down. And it is time, mama. And you are one of those that are doing what you got to do. And just slowly but surely, step by step. But I know, and just always remember there's going to be hard days. There's going to be days where we're just like, man, we think we're so far. There's going to be days we're so far behind that we think we're first. And then we're going to realize we're not, and that's okay. There's going to be days where we just are really on our game. And then it could be the very next day that we feel like we're not. And that is the natural way of things. We cannot be go, go, go all of the time. And I had to really, because that was also an expectation put on me from the outside world, and I have so much of that fire. And I myself, why do I have to eat and sleep and rest? I don't want to. I want to keep going. I have so many things I want to do and I love doing them and they light me up. But I live in this natural world. And there are laws to this natural world that we live in. And these laws require that what goes up comes down. All right. And we have to rest. So just always remember that. These expectations of having to be something, anything, all the time, none of the time, all of that stuff. I know for me that when I follow the rhythms of nature, the laws of nature, and I rest when I need to rest, my good days are so much better and my bad days aren't as bad. My bad days used to be so bad. And now they're not. Now my bad days, I'm like, man, this is heavy. This is rough. I feel like I'm losing a little bit. Let me lean on my support system and let me remind myself that these days are going to pass. It always passes. It does. And I had quite a few deaths again this week. And it's just this reminder of like, life is so precious. The people that we know and love can be gone in an instant. We can be gone in an instant. So where are we feeding our energy? What are we wasting our time on? Are we wasting time and energy in places when we could be taking that time and energy and pouring it into who and what we love? Because it can all be gone tomorrow. Because guess what? Nature doesn't care about how you feel. Nature doesn't care that you don't want that person to die. Doesn't care. So be realistic. Be logical. Think. This is the we have right now. What are we doing right now? What is siphoning our energy from us? What is taking us away from who and what we love? Do we have what it takes to stop feeding that, to hydrate, and to focus on what we love, what we feel in our heart? And sometimes, some days, you got to constantly remind yourself of that. Always remember that you're going to have hard days. That is natural for every hard day you have, because what goes down goes back up too, baby. For every hard day you have, you're going to have a beautiful day. And one of the reasons why I know my life is so beautiful now is because of how devastatingly tragic it once was. And that's why I would go back and do it all again. That's why now I have started to train my mind on the bad days. I say, man, something good is coming, because it always does. And because I keep my mind and my heart set on that, always. I've never been one to lay down and say, poor me, I can't do it. There's not a single thing in this world that I want that I don't go and get. Being a convicted felon doesn't stop me. Being domestic violence, childhood sex survivor, all of these things, none of that has stopped me. And it never will. It just adds fuel to my fire, because that's the choice that I make. I am determined I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to grow from this, and I'm not going to give up. I might sit down, take a nap, but then I'm going to get back up and I'm going to keep going. Giving up is not an option for me. Some people might choose to give themselves that option. Don't bring other people down with you when you do. All right? But for those of you like Jen here, like Tina, like Erica, like Natalie, who else? We got Yana, Sean, everybody. I know that we've got some real hitters out here, and I'm so proud of every single one of you, no matter what you've done. No matter what you've done. I have forgiven the people that did the sickest things, the sickest. And I still want them to grow. I want them to be forgiven. Maybe one day I'll share my stories. Maybe I won't. I don't know if it makes a difference. But what I do know is that if you truly feel that remorse in your heart, the man that did the worst to me, things you guys couldn't believe, he did too. And this is why, maybe one of the reasons I'm blessed. My mother did it, and he did. He admitted to everything that he did on camera with somebody else there with him, apologized, and asked me, Cammie, what do you need from me? Do you want me to go to prison? Do you want me to off myself? What do you need from me? I know you need something. He did that. Not everybody's going to get that, you know? But before he did that, I still had that love in my heart when he was in prison. I said, you get your GED, I'll send you a package. And he did. It's really hard to hold that love and that forgiveness and that compassion to the people that have hurt you the most. But even my biggest haters, I want to see them succeed. Because what you put out is what's reflecting back to you, you know? And the more darkness that somebody is in and we get them out of that, the more that shift. I mean, that's so powerful. If you can get somebody out of the grips of hell and bring them up here, oh, that changes everything. That's a game changer. So it's not about giving up on these people, but it's recognizing. Just like I told him, I said, if you get your GED, I will do this. Gave him the choice. He got his GED. And I pray every single day that because that man sat right there and admitted to the terrible things that he did, apologized from the bottom of his heart, and was ready to face whatever consequences came his way, I know his soul is redeemed for that. So no matter what it is that you've done, no matter what kind of shame, guilt, no matter what it is that you've done, remember that man did some crazy things. No matter what it is that you've done, if you truly have that remorse in your heart and you're willing to accept the consequences and do what it is that you got to do to come back from that, you are loved and you are forgiven. You don't have to keep punishing yourself for mistakes made in the past, no matter what they were. And maybe your consequences are awful, and maybe you'll have to face those for what you did. But what comes after that? Oh, and I know that those of you who know what you did and it was really bad, like that stuff is just as painful. You're suffering anyways, right? So I'm going to get off here because it's been over an hour. But I just really want to remind you of that. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter what, you can be and do what it is that you want to do. I love you. All right? Look, my phone just said nothing can stop Cameron Jewel. That's what that beep was. Replace that with your name. Nothing can stop you. All right? I see you and I feel you because I am you and I love you so much.